Hello, and welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we incorrectly predict everything on the table in the world of sports. And today, we're going to take a stab at week three, where we all are going to hope and pray that we know as much about teams as we think we do. Because so far, we've had a bit of a rough go with some of these predictions. And speaking of that, Drew, how did we fare in week two?
Oh boy, we're just jumping right into last week. Uh we both did incredibly mid. I went 9 and
This
7.
seems to be a common theme.
Tim, you went 8 and 8, and our season records are the incredibly average for me 17, 14 and 1, and for you 16, 15 and 1. So quite literally about as mid goes, but
If there wasn't a tie, I'd be 500 and you'd be a game above.
so God bless that tie. But who cares? We have fun doing this anyway, and let's run it. Let's get to the predictions, baby.
Let's run it. All right. So looking at week three, we start off with Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. And this is at the Cleveland Browns. We've got a Browns team that, looked good until they choked it. I think for this matchup, I like Cleveland's offense. There's been a lot of disjointedness in Pittsburgh's offense going into this. Going with last game, they didn't look great. So I'm going to take Cleveland in this one. I like their run game. Their run game's been super strong. I think they'll keep that up.
I like Pittsburgh. I'm on the opposite side as
Huh.
you. It's interesting because as of right now, Cleveland is favored by 4.5 points. I think that's way too many. I think this Pittsburgh team, although disjointed with Mitch Trubisky, I think one flip over to Kenny Pickett can reignite this
You think
team
they'll do that this
again.
week?
Maybe. If not, if I've talked about this off camera with a couple of my buddies, and we're in agreement that if Kenny Pickett isn't starting by week 4, then something is seriously wrong in the water in Pittsburgh. They're too well coached. Their defense is always really good, and if that offense can even get on track a little bit, I think they'll be fine. So I'll take Pittsburgh.
Yeah, fair enough. Moving on, we've got Houston versus Chicago.
Oh boy,
Um,
why are
ugh,
the matchups this week so
eh.
they're so bad?
Yeah, it's not a very pretty one. Even with the Bears being at home in this one, as we pointed out, don't really like their offense. Their run game is pretty good for the last game, but other than that, there's not much to like. We haven't seen them get much of anything going. And I'll be honest, I kind of like the Texans offense, even though they didn't have a great week this past week. I think they will actually have enough to overcome the Bears in Chicago. So I've got the Texans in this one.
Tim, we're disagreeing quite a bit more than we usually do. I
Hey, we
like
won't have the same record, I guess.
Exactly. I like Chicago here because their first two matchups in the pouring rain against the 49ers and a rivalry game at Green Bay that nobody expected them to win. The best thing about either team right now is the Chicago run game. And I feel like Jalen Johnson versus Brandon Cooks is going to be the matchup to watch. The only thing that I really like from Houston is Davis Mills to Brandon Cooks. And when you key in on that, I think Chicago should have a pretty okay time. And I think they'll accidentally their way into a win here. So it's not a pretty matchup by any means, but I got the Bears.
Next one we got on the table is the Raiders at the Titans. The Raiders are a team that have started out disappointing, but they do still have a good amount going for them. The Titans, on the other hand, oh boy,
Oh boy, got
they are
stomped against
not looking
Buffalo.
like the Titans that we have seen
No.
previously. The regression of Derrick Henry is real. I'm just gonna say that, and I see more of that here. I think they'll probably have a better day on the ground because I mean the Bills' defense is the Bills' defense, but I do like the Raiders here. I think they're finally going to get enough going so that they can finally get something in the win column. So I've got the Raiders on this one.
I just believe that the Raiders are snake bitten. They blew a 20-point lead against the Cardinals and then quite literally fumbled the game away. They're
Yes,
st- they're
two
st-
straight.
they're starting 0-2. The Titans don't look pretty by any means necessary. Again, another ugly matchup. None of these games are really intriguing
No, not at all, really.
except for Buffalo and Miami. More on that later, but I'll take the Titans. I
Okay, I mean,
it, gotta go with my gut here. I don't
yeah,
like either team, but
there's a lot of these, as we've pointed out, we don't know what we think we know. So some of these are really going to be kind of shots in the dark based on,
Yeah.
what we've seen so far, I guess.
If I had
But
a quarter in my general vicinity, I'd flip it. Next matchup.
yeah, moving on, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs against the Indianapolis Colts.
Not the Colts. Chiefs. Done. Prediction over.
Fair enough. On Chiefs.
Yeah. I said
Then
I said last week I'm picking the Colts. If they let me down, it'll be really hard for me to trust them
and this is
again
not a
until
matchup that you could possibly trust them in, I think.
they could play the Little Sisters of the Poor and the Blind. I'm taking the Little Sisters of the Poor and the Blind. You have
so
failed me.
disrespectful, but so true.
Indianapolis has failed me for the last time. Matt Ryan looks terrible. Jonathan Taylor can't get going. They don't know
They gave him 9 carries.
They don't know which wide receiver's healthy and which wide receiver's not. The defense is sorely missing Shaq Leonard, and they're facing Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs by 1,000,000. Need I say more?
No, not particularly. So, moving on, we've got the exciting game that you pointed out being the Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. And these are both teams that have offenses that in this past week shot off the charts. You've got 6 touchdowns out of Tua Tagovailoa. And, the Buffalo Bills, they've looked like the Bills so far. And their offense is cranking on all cylinders. But I like the Bills' defense in this one. I really like the way that they've been able to sort of box a lot of teams. And despite the fact that Miami's offense poses a lot of interesting threats, I do actually like the Bills to take this one.
Tim, I think this is going to be a shootout. The Miami Dolphins, there's something different about this team. Buffalo looks great. I'm owing the Bills yet another apology because I thought they were incredibly overrated coming into the season.
They have been proven a lot of people wrong so far.
They look like the best team in football right now, and it's not even close. However, there's some magic with this Miami team. Tua doesn't even have to be good. He can just be okay. Speed kills. You have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, two arguably top 10 receivers right now.
They're incredible playmakers.
And if they'll find their way open, and if you get it to them, 6 touchdowns and like 400 yards through the air. I got the Dolphins in South Beach at home.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be wild.
The Dolphins proved me right last week, and I'm picking them again. Fins up, baby.
Next up, we got Detroit Lions versus their division rivals, the Minnesota Vikings. And this is a team that the Vikings we both thought had some good momentum moving into last week. They fell short against the Eagles.
Primetime Kirk.
Yeah, we really fumbled the bag on that one. But this is a Detroit offense that has looked a lot better than we thought. And this one, I think the Lions are going to come down to earth a little bit. I like the matchup a little bit better for the Vikings receivers and Kirk Cousins against the Lions defense. I think that they're going to be able to do significantly more damage than they were against the Eagles, given the fact that Darius Slay is not on the Lions.
No, but he certainly made his presence known last week. Oh, should have had 5 interceptions. He only had 2.
Yeah.
Do better.
Exactly.
Do better, big play Slay.
Oh, yeah. But realistically, I think the Vikings are going to be able to knock the Lions down a little bit. I don't think that the Lions are all of a sudden going to become like this perennial, almost auto-win team, despite their offense looking good so far.
Yeah, Tim, I'm not just going to give a game prediction. I'm going to give a score prediction, too.
Let's hear it.
A very loose score prediction. Vikings win 49-45.
Oh, my gosh. Where did the defense go? Did they take the day off?
You will not find it in this matchup because the Lions let the Eagles put up gobs of points, and they very nearly let the Commanders back in it. Yeah. And the Vikings defense, although it looked really good against Green Bay, couldn't stop Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown or Jalen Hurts to Devonta Smith or Jalen Hurts
just being Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, exactly. And given how this Lions offense has looked, why not buck the trend of them scoring 30-plus points again? So no defense here. The Big 12 has come to Minnesota, but I got the Vikings here.
Moving on, we've got Baltimore against the New England Patriots. And the Patriots are a team that had a little bounce back, beat the Steelers last week, but Baltimore looks like Baltimore. Their offense is looking incredible. Obviously, we've talked about Lamar Jackson being himself. And if he's able to stay healthy, that team is going to be dangerous on any given day. I think despite any game plan, Baltimore is going to be a little too tough to handle for New England's defense. So I've got the Ravens in this one.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. The Ravens are still contenders, and they're just a better team than the Patriots are right now. I think they'll outclass them. Ravens.
There you go. Next up, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals against the New York Jets, who sparked an insane comeback in this last week against the Cleveland Browns. Oh boy, I hate to do this.
What are you gonna say about the Bengals that is positive right now?
Not much other than the fact that if I'm going to have a sword that I'm going to fall on and a hill that I'm going to die on this season, it is going to be that the Cincinnati Bengals are not a bad football team, but they've been playing like one. I think this week is going to be their rebound. I think that the Jets had one big magical week of putting things together, and I think that was last week. Don't think they're going to have all of that this week. I think the Bengals are finally going to be able to take one. But that's a think.
Am I really going to do this? Am I really going to do this?
It's that kind of week, man.
It's that kind of week, and it's been that kind of season. The Jets' magic moment is going to continue. I'm riding Joe Flacco and the Jumbo Jets until they let me down.
You've been throwing the ball well.
Crazier things have happened. Joe Flacco, I believe, is in the top 3 in passing yards right now.
Yes, he is. And that's
which
is incredibly terrifying.
Which is wild to say that like the top 3 in passing yards are like Tua, Flacco, and like insert third. Wentz. It's Wentz. Oh my God.
Like, wait a minute. Yeah. But nothing like we thought it would be.
I'm going to pick the Jets.
Okay. Say it with your chest. Up in this next matchup, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles against the Washington Commanders.
The Commanders are,
anti-footballs at their finest. They did have a bit of a comeback. They did come up short this past week. Philadelphia has looked very solid, and I expect more of that to continue. I think that they've got a good healthy balance between Tim, running the ball when they need to.
Tim, you're talking about the Eagles right now. They look really good, and I'm going to pose this question to you right now. Is there a better team in the NFC at this current moment than Philadelphia?
No, I'm gonna be honest. No, not in terms of consistency and level of play overall.
Entering week 3, Philadelphia looks like the best team in the NFC, and I think they're going to roll their old quarterback in Carson Wentz, even in his new home. I got Philly as well.
Yeah, I mean, Philly just looks really good right now, and I don't think this is going to be where they slip up. Next up, we've got the New Orleans Saints against the Carolina Panthers. And the Saints and Bucks last week were at a stalemate until fisticuffs were drawn. And then the offenses kind of woke up.
No Mike Evans against the Packers. Yay!
Yep, and we'll get into that more later. The Carolina Panthers... Soon. Their offense just hasn't really been able to get going fully yet. But for some reason in this one, I think that we're going to see at least a little bit of an emergence, and I think that we're going to see a little bit of elevated play from CMC, taking a little bit of a shot in the dark and trusting the Carolina Panthers on this one. I've got Panthers.
Yeah, when I think about this game logically, the Saints in theory should be a better team, even though
you talk about like the better defense, and
even though like Jameis hasn't looked good, but he's kind of played better than Baker, except not really. So I'm going to take every logic that I thought I had, flip it upside down, and pick the Panthers.
There you go. I mean, like you said, crazier things have happened this season so far, and I expect that we'll probably be surprised by some of these as well.
Shoot, dude, I picked the Bears, the Jets, and the Panthers this week. What is going on?
Yeah, and going into this next one, we have Jacksonville Jaguars and the Los Angeles Chargers. And their Chargers are a team, man, they get so close, but they're just finishing close games. Will it ever be something that they're able to finally get over the hump?
It's like death, taxes, and the Vikings and the Chargers not quite figuring it out.
Yeah, they're two teams with great potential that haven't been able to necessarily put all the pieces together. But in this one, you've got the Jags coming off of a big high, shutting out the Colts. And you've got the Chargers coming off that difficult defeat, and Herbert showing that he's got that dog in him, coming out with that rib injury and still slinging a touchdown to make it at least a close game. Hoping that he is able to come back and healthy and all of the weapons that they still have. And if I'm not mistaken, Keenan Allen potentially coming back this week. I think the Chargers will be able to put enough together to stifle whatever the Jags have. I think Jags are very hit or miss. I think this week's going to be a miss.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same page with you. I pick the Chargers with an asterisk. If Justin Herbert is able to go, there should be no reason why the Chargers can't win. If not, they're in a little bit more trouble because, those tricky Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence throwing the ball to Christian Kirk, who looks good, question mark?
$72 million good, though?
Kind of. Actually, kind of.
There's sort of
which,
an argument to that right now.
Which, just, I think, proves the saying that, maybe NFL general managers know a little bit more than we do. Just the thought. Just the thought.
Moving on, we've got a very interesting matchup here with the Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'm going to be completely honest, 8 or 9 times out of 10, with both healthy teams, I'm picking the Bucs, but as we know, the Bucs are going to be without Mike Evans this week, and Godwin most likely not being able to play, still coming back off of that injury. That wide receiver core is pretty decimated, and we saw last week they really didn't get a lot going. Although I will say they didn't get a lot going until Mike Evans got ejected. But I'm not sure if I see them putting together enough to overcome the Packers this week. So I've got Green Bay in this one.
Yeah,
and I bet you will too.
What? Me? Pick the Packers? No. See, you
don't got to twist your arm too hard.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. No Evans, no Godwin.
Yeah, they're pretty decimated right now.
Brady hasn't played well, nearly as well as Brady's used to playing. But here's the thing: neither has Rodgers, and Rodgers is absolutely going to wake up. And if not now,
then we really got to start raising some question marks. Although, I mean, he still owns the Bears, so I mean, it's really not surprising that he looked pretty decent against them. But I do view the Buccaneers to be a substantially better defense. But all things considered, I still got the Pack.
Yeah, I think the Packers, if you just feed Jones and Dillon like you did last week and let Rodgers be his efficient Rodgers self, they'll be able to figure it out.
He doesn't got to be a superstar to win this one, I don't think.
And here's the thing about the Packers defense. If you pressure Brady, he'll fold. Go, Pack, go.
There you go. Next week, we've got division rivals Los Angeles Rams and Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals coming off of course, that crazy comeback in which they put together a whole string of points, multiple 2-point conversions, and a little sprinkle of Raiders choke and fumble. And you've got the Los Angeles Rams, who very nearly choked their own game away. And it took a late game interception for the Rams to seal that one against the Falcons. All that being said, I can't trust the Cardinals this year, regardless of the fact that they were able to come back and make that game. I still like the Rams defense better. And I don't know how to feel about the Cardinals offense. They're still so iffy. Maybe I'll be able to trust them a little bit more when D-Hop gets back. And we're also seeing some question marks about James Conner. I've got the Rams.
Tim, you're right. We can't trust the Cardinals. And that's exactly why they're going to beat the Rams. I don't get it. I don't understand.
To be fair, that logic, when you say it out loud, kind of sounds stupid and crazy. But I hear it and I completely understand what you mean. And honestly, yeah, fair enough.
I can't explain it. Yeah, I have the Cardinals.
Welcome to the NFL this season. And speaking of what the heck is going to go on in this game, the Atlanta Falcons versus the Seattle Seahawks.
Another really, really bad matchup in a week filled with awful matchups. Yeah. With that being said, though, this Atlanta team has the spunk, the X factor, the actual.
They showed some fight coming back in that game against the Rams.
I like what they got inside of them. I think their offense is just a bit better. I think their defense is a lot better. I'll take the Falcons.
I think a lot of people got excited with week 1 Seahawks, and we kind of got brought back down to earth a little bit in week 2.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna stick with that. I like the ceiling of the Falcons better than I like the ceiling of the Seahawks. And given what we've seen so far, I think the Falcons are going to have the better offense in this one and be able to put up substantial more points than the Seahawks. So next one, we've got the 49ers and the Denver Broncos.
Sunday night football. All hail
Broncos
Jimmy Garoppolo.
country, huh?
All hail Jimmy Garoppolo. All hail Jimmy Jesus. He's back, and he's going to take the 49ers to the promised land. Bang, bang, Niner gang. I got to go with San Francisco here.
Broncos country, let's pray that you guys are able to put some more stuff together. We have seen a lot of disjoint in this Broncos organization.
How in the world the Broncos won that game against the Texans? I have no idea.
It was not pretty.
And quite frankly, they shouldn't have.
Not particularly. And I actually do agree with you that I think, given what we saw so far, and especially with Jimmy G coming back off the bench and how he looked, I think this 49er offense might be in a substantially better place with Jimmy G at the helm based on what we saw. And I think that they really won't skip a beat with him back in this lineup.
Though.
It really does. And I hope pray for a quick, speedy recovery on him and that he's able to come back and prove the talent that he has. But right now it's Jimmy G's show. And I think he's not going to skip a beat. I think that the 49ers are going to continue to roll on and start build some momentum. So I got 49ers.
You know, Tim, this is why I hate the NFL, at least for this season, because this Monday night game shouldn't be a question. The Cowboys and the Giants, I had to think long and hard about who in the world that I was going to pick. Because
this one is about as close as a toss-up in my mind, just because of
the question
marks surrounding both teams.
It shouldn't be, though. Why is it? Right? I mean, the Giants, they look pretty okay, but they got Daniel Jones, and the Cowboys, their defense has been able to do a lot of good things.
Micah Parsons is going to be Micah Parsons. Let's make that clear. But the rest of it is just like, okay, all of a sudden we're seeing some stuff there. All of a sudden we're seeing CeeDee Lamb better under Cooper Rush? ? I don't know. It's so weird to me. So I don't know if that was like a fluke, like surprise game, or whether or not they might actually play better under Cooper Rush. For the moment, we didn't see much out of Dak, so I'm not going to say that Cooper Rush is better leading that offense than Dak.
Let's pump the brakes as I slam my foot right on the gas and say I'm going to pick Dallas to go 2-0 with Cooper Rush this season. And because it's Dallas and because Mike McCarthy is brainless, there's going to be a QB controversy. I don't know why, but it would be the most Cowboys thing ever.
That organization, I don't get it. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of beginning to start to pump the Giants train. I don't know. I kind of like what I've seen.
Is Saquon Barkley going to break off a big run?
I'm going to take the Giants in this one. I like the building. Yeah. I like the building blocks of what I've seen out of this offense so far. I think what they're building right now is they don't need Daniel Jones to be a superstar to win games, which is a good thing because we're not going to see many superstar games out of Daniel Jones. I think that they're going to be able to escape this one. The combination of, mediocre to mid passing offense, and I think that they should hopefully be able to get Saquon Barkley rolling early and often. Giants 3-0. You know what? Why not?
To each their own. And our records are going to look a lot different after this week.
Yes, we are not going to have the same records after this week.
Nope.
But that wraps up week 3. Dear Lord, please help us. Hopefully I can't say have some better predictions because one of us is going to be, most likely one of us is going to be significantly better than the other this week. But that being said, we've still got a lot of football stuff coming to you, both with predictions, fantasy football, got some college football stuff mixed in there. If you go back, we've got plenty of stuff that you can go check out, playlists, all that jazz. So stay tuned. We've got a lot of stuff still coming. And we're excited to keep bringing this stuff to you. We've had a wild ride so far this NFL season, and we're going to keep riding this chaotic wave and see where it takes us.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Let's keep on riding. But until next time, like and comment and subscribe, and we out. Peace.